I believe that Polkadot's native token called DOT is so underrated. And people may be thinking, okay, why is that? It's not a small cap by any means. It's one of the biggest out there. I actually do believe that it still has a lot of room to grow because I think Polkadot has such an amazing ceiling. I think that DOT could hypothetically go to the price of $150 during this bull run. And even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, I think that DOT still has a lot of room to grow. And the reason for that is because I think Polkadot serves such an amazing purpose. And I think oftentimes people don't understand just how special Polkadot is. But let me explain, because as we all know, there are so many blockchains out there, so many networks, but for the most part, they don't have the ability to freely send data and value to each other, meaning that they lack interoperability, which is of course a very caca situation. You take a look at a very popular example of this. You take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. They can't freely send data and value to each other, which of course is complete nonsense. However, what is the solution? That's Polkadot, because through Polkadot, all of this nonsense is pretty much gone. That's how amazing it is. Polkadot, it's focused on interoperability, it's focused on connecting blockchains together, and I think this right here is so amazing. I mean, oftentimes people don't understand how crucial this is, but even if we take a look at, let's say, a real-life example of this, for instance, imagine if different banks were not interoperable, in a sense that, let's say, I'm using Chase, and then let's say I can't send a wire transfer to someone using Wells Fargo. Wouldn't that be a big problem? I mean, that'd be a big issue, right? Of course, that problem doesn't exist, but that's just an example, a hypothetical scenario. If it did, just imagine how bad it would be. When it comes to the blockchain space as of right now, this problem, it's still rampant. There's still a lot of it going on. So I think that when it comes to Polkadot, again, it's trying to serve such an amazing purpose. It's not focused on some random nonsense. It's actually a serious project, and I really love that. And if we take a look at Polkadot, the statistics, I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, you take a look at how there's currently over 1 million holders, which is insane. You take a look at how there's over 3 million total accounts on Polkadot, and it's even been able to facilitate over 30 million transfers so far. So by any means, Polkadot is not trash. Amazing use case, amazing fundamentals, and statistics are pretty much A+. So how can I go wrong with this? At least that's the way I view it. And the amazing thing about Polkadot that sometimes people often ignore is the fact that it has a support system. Now, what do I mean by this? You take a look at Kusama. Now, I'm very bullish on Kusama, but if people are wondering, okay, what is this all about? Kusama is basically a canary network to Polkadot. It's quite essentially the way I take a look at it, Polkadot's testing ground, because usually new projects that wish to launch on Polkadot, typically they will launch on Kusama first as a way to test it out under real economic conditions, and then typically they move on later to Polkadot. Now, it should be noted though that the reason why usually a lot of smaller projects start off with Kusama first is because, first of all, it's cheaper to rent building space, and also it's typically a lot easier to build on. So isn't that amazing? The way I take a look at Polkadot is that, isn't it so genius that it kind of has a support network in a sense? Kusama is like a free trial for Polkadot, right? When you go to the gym and then, you have a free trial, it's kind of like that. It's a way to test out the water, so to speak. And I think this right here is really contributing well to Polkadot's growth, because imagine if a small project may not have the resources, it may not have the capabilities to jump straight onto Polkadot. It's fine. They can start off on Kusama first and test out the waters. But it should be noted, though, that actually a project doesn't have to move on to Polkadot later on if they don't want to, because you take a look at Moonriver, that's on Kusama. But again, this I think is so amazing because, again, it gives a project a testing ground. So why not? This is a genius move, in my opinion. So with all of that taken into consideration, is Polkadot's native token called DOT going to the price of $150 during this bull run too much to ask for? No, I don't think so. Now, am I saying it's going to happen like tomorrow or next week? No, because usually this takes some time. And it should be noted that, I can't just wave some magic wand and demand the price to pump today, because that's not how it works. Sometimes people think that the bull run is over because, DOT didn't peak like 2 weeks ago. But come on, that's not the case. Historically, altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they've been known to peak around a year and a half, aka around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, the Bitcoin halving event, it just happened back in April. So a year and a half, aka 18 months from then, is October of 2025. So you think about that, that's still slightly over a year from right now. Not so bad. If someone says, hey, you have another year, let's say, to accumulate DOT, why not? I won't complain if I have more time to accumulate something that I actually like. And of course, altcoins could peak sooner, but again, this is a worst case scenario. Now, there are so many bullish factors, though, that I think could very well contribute to this bull run being so fantastic and pretty much dwarfing what we saw back in 2021. Because keep in mind, 2021, that was no joke. The bull run that year, I think we can all agree, was so impressive. But actually, during the peak of that bull run, there was roughly only around 300 million crypto owners. But as of right now, there's slightly over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research, which is insane, by the way. That's more than ever before in history. Some people out there, they like to complain and say, oh, there's billions of people in this world. Around 600 million, that's not even that much, man. Come on. But if you put some perspective into it, it's actually a lot. Again, practically double what we saw back in the peak of the 2021 bull run. So comparatively speaking, this is a very impressive figure. Can you imagine just how crazy the peak of this bull run could be? I mean, it could be so ridiculous, but it's just a matter of time again. It's really just a waiting game at this point. That's the way I take a look at it because, I'm not the type of person to day trade, use leverage, or swing trade. That's not what I do. Again, I can't demand, prices to pump today, but all I can do is do things that are within my control, accumulation, not giving up, anytime earned income, acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it. Those are the factors I can control. Because if I start to want to day trade, I want to use leverage to try to get short-term gains, I could make mistakes, right? And anything done in a high emotional state typically is never a good idea. So that's why I like to keep things simple, just being calm through dollar cost averaging and just thinking more about the long term and the future. And you think about how even Bitcoin, it's poised for such a great future. And I think it's poised for a great 2025. This year it did great, right? It did break an all-time high, having a pullback, slight recovery as of right now, but I think there's still a lot to prove. And why do I think 2025 could be such a pivotal year for Bitcoin? Because I believe that year, Bitcoin could hypothetically go to the price of $150,000. Now, why is that? You take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the number of institutional investors. I mean, also combined with the fact that there's, over 600 million crypto owners as we speak, according to Crypto.com research. With all those bullish factors, Bitcoin can't go to the price of $150,000 during this bull run. I think that's easy peasy, man. But again, it's going to take some time. I think that the future of altcoins could look so bright because as Bitcoin does reach those great heights, as it does break a new all-time high and reaches, better all-time highs, I think at that point, it's only natural that altcoins, much like DOT, they're going to go along with the ride. So DOT at the price of $150 during this bull run, I don't think it's crazy whatsoever. I think that the future of Bitcoin could look so amazing. And I think that this altcoin season could look so fantastic. And when you think about it, $150 really isn't all that insane for DOT. I mean, if it were to go to that price, considering its current circulating supply, at that point, market cap would be around $224 billion. And around a $224 billion market cap isn't insane, by the way. We've seen Ethereum reach over $550 billion in market cap. That's over $300 billion more than this. I mean, you got to imagine that. And when you take that into consideration, is DOT going to around a $224 billion market cap too much to ask for? No, I mean, come on, man. That's not even a tough task, in my opinion. It may seem like a lot because people are like, whoa, over 200 billion, that's kind of crazy. But again, when you consider how many networks are out there, how many blockchains, and what Polkadot is trying to do, again, connect blockchains together, I don't think it's too much to ask for. I think blockchain technology still has a bright future ahead. Imagine, right? Once there is large-scale institutional adoptions for blockchain technology just in general, can you imagine the need for interoperability then? Of course, it's going to be very crucial. And I think this is oftentimes something that people often ignore because they don't really consider, institutions adopting blockchain technology. They think about, the retail market, this, small companies can adopt it. But I think as time goes on, large-scale institutional adoptions, they're going to fully start adopting blockchain technology. And I think when they do that, it's only fair to assume that something like Polkadot goes along with the ride. And keep in mind, institutional adoption is key, I think, for the growth of blockchain technology in general, because if we take a look back in history, what fostered the growth of the internet? Was it the retail market? Yeah, sure, it did help a little bit, but the main factor was institutional adoption. They have the volume, they have the capital, and they have the resources to allow growth at a much larger scale. So again, I think this is a narrative that people often ignore, but this could be so amazing. Once it does happen, Polkadot is going to be in a prime position to catch the wave. It's very well known in its space in terms of the interoperability projects. It's basically the most established one out there. And I think that this is going to play to the advantage of Polkadot. So again, when I consider the future potential of Polkadot, its fundamentals, its statistics, and just how amazing this bull run could be, DOT at the price of $150 during this bull run, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.